Hey, what is going on out there, everyone? Welcome to the very first episode of the Eldridge and Blackburn Nostalgia Show. And I'm here with one of my best friends for a very long time, my buddy James. James, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing great, Alex. Fun being here with you. I'm so excited for our first show. I know we've both been looking forward to this for a really long time. Yes. Again, my name is James Blackburn, so I'm the co-host here with Alex, and I'm here to make fun of his expense.
You're so funny. But, so a lot of crazy things have happened this week, and let's just be honest here, James. We had no idea that we would take off the way we did this week.
Oh, 0%.
Like, it was unreal. We hit what? 2 million views on one video?
Little bit, I think a little bit over, but yeah, over 2 million on one video. So it gave us enough hype to want to make this thing official.
And, and when we did the vote for Friends and Boy Meets World, we both thought, hey, it's gonna be Friends. Let's go ahead and just start studying. And boy, were we wrong.
I thought it was going to be a major landslide. I thought Friends had so much more like clout and pull, but I couldn't have been even wronger in my entire life.
I mean, just the way. So, again, Friends is always talked about. That's why we thought, hey, it's gonna, it's gonna be the thing. Let's go ahead and get that going. But once that video hit, it was like, no, we want Boy Meets World. That's what we want. That's what we're going to get.
And Boy Meets World, it connected with so many people for so long. I mean, it ran for 7 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And it didn't blow up the time that, like, Friends kind of did. It was 2 different time periods where, Friends kind of got reenacted with Netflix. And Boy Meets World, it hasn't had anything like that just yet that's going to, like, make it go off the top like it was. Even though it's still been on, like, TV for years and years and years. I mean, they'll have, like, 6-hour sessions on, some stations. It's on Disney Plus now. So I think it's only a matter of time before people finally catch back up and put some respect on its name.
Oh, absolutely. The good thing with Disney Plus, it's been able to be on there. But again, as you know, that's the only thing it's on anymore. It's not on anything else. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into this tonight with our very first question.
Let's go.
What makes the show still so popular today? James, I'm going to start with you on this one, brother.
It's so connectable. Like, you get aside from the nostalgia feeling behind it, there's like a real charisma that the entire cast had and like a real friendship that you see grow over those years. And it just connects with you. And it's good, like lighthearted, fun, like family time type of style, like show that where you watch it and you're compelled. You're like, man, I wish my family was like this, or man, this I wish I had a friend like Shawn. I wish I had a Cory. I wish I had a Topanga. There's so many characters that is just so relatable at such a time frame and gives such a good message out at all the time that you can't help but just love the show itself. You can't help it.
And also you have a person like Mr. Feeny.
Yes.
That is just so instrumental in these kids' lives. He really takes that role as a teacher very seriously.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, and I feel like it's very relatable to everyone that has watched it and continues to watch it, because it's really real life in cinema. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that happened in Boy Meets World happens in real life. It's not some teeny bop show.
No.
It's about real stuff that has happened to people. And that's what I love about it so much. is that it's one of those shows that they really do not make anymore.
Yeah, it was super grounded and relatable on a level that you really haven't seen much with TV. It'll give you all the heartbreak that you want in it. It'll give you all the laughs and giggles and whatnot. But when it just combines all those aspects together so much more brilliantly than what we've seen with other sitcoms. And that's why I really feel like it's lasted like all this time, and we're still talking about it today.
And we have Huey, Dewey, Louie over here saying, how is Boy Meets World horror? Well, there, Mr. Hughes, here's how this has happened. We have changed everything. The name is being changed. Facebook won't let us change it yet. So there's that. This is a nostalgia show now, better than ever, in my opinion. So, like we were saying about how, like we both were saying about how it's real life stuff. Like the whole Cory drinking.
Yep.
I mean, how many times has someone went into their parents' liquor cabinet and stole alcohol?
Yeah, exactly.
To get over a breakup.
Shawn drink.
Yes.
So many other cast members have like real life instances like that grip you. You're like, man, I feel like my brother's just got in trouble.
Oh, jeez. Okay, Huey, calm down over there. All right, don't start with me.
Horror stuff, guys. It's just going to be a nostalgia-based horror, like 90s horror or a little bit older. We're not completely getting away from it. We're just broadening the horizon. We're going to be doing a lot more.
Yeah, this is exactly what you and I wanted to do. It's nostalgia all the time here, and we are ready for it. But, and the whole thing with now, we both have lost someone very important to us. The one was Shawn in the hospital room with his dad.
Oh yeah,
I watched that yesterday, and it reminded me of my uncle, as you know, passed away of a heart attack, and it just, that killed me. I was like, God. It's like I started crying. I was like, I know exactly how they feel. Yep. It's a bunch of bullshit. But, it's one of those things. But we'll go ahead and get into the next question of the night.
Let's go.
What happened to Nebula, Topanga's sister? Now, this one's a little interesting because there are so many fan theories on this to do with her. Now, you remember Nebula's sister, she was in one episode, and that's when she went to pick up Topanga when Topanga had a crush on Eric. Now, have you heard the backstory to this? Why she's not on there anymore? So, the fan theory is that Nebula got unalived, and that is why Topanga made a whole 360 change. How she stopped doing the whole weird stuff and was just strictly career driven, is that Nebula ended up passing away. That's the people think that's the backstory of how Topanga's character changed over time.
That's different. That's definitely different. That's harsh. I like the grit to it. Yeah.
And you and me, we're those fans. Like, we look at fan theories all the time. We've talked about it in college and all those fan theories and stuff out there, and it's that fan theory to me is really, really dark for that kind of a show.
Very.
But I understand because they never brought her up again.
Yeah.
That's the only time they ever brought her up. Nebula was that episode, and that was it.
And with
never brought her up again.
And I mean, it wasn't uncommon for characters to just go missing on the show, but none of them were like just completely written off and never explained again, like her character. I mean, we even get to see Minkus at another point in the show.
Yes, absolutely.
And that was a big mystery. Like, where did Minkus go?
Yeah. What's going on here? Minkus was, top of the line of the show.
Yep. And then he says, I went over there. Oh, we don't go over there.
Yeah. we don't go down there. Hey, Mr. Turner, wait up.
So, hey, maybe she's just on the other side over there. Who knows? But
yeah, this is true.
That fan theory probably is where they wanted to go. I'm sure that theory is probably where they wanted to go, and they just couldn't put it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, because of the, what they were doing with the story elsewhere. I mean, that's a huge controversial topic that I'm sure that they were probably willing at first to go about it, but I mean, it's hard. It's hard to put that into a sitcom.
Yeah, that's my thing about that too. Is I don't see them doing that, and I understand people want to throw their theories out there, but in that kind of a comedy, I don't think that would work. But I mean, who am I? You know what I mean?
Yep, we're just two dudes.
Yeah, pretty much. So, moving on to the next question of the night. And it leads right in. Should the writers have kept Minkus?
With 100% surety, I say yes. Like, that little dude was hilarious and annoying, but in, like, the best kind of way.
Exactly. And the thing is, he worked for Michael Jacobs before Boy Meets World on the Tolkersons. So he worked with him before, and he went in and tried out for Minkus, and he got it. And we were just, I thought when season 2 came out, I'm like, where's Minkus?
Yeah.
Season 1, he was one of the guys that was totally a part of every episode. And next thing you know, boom, he's gone. He's not even in there.
He got Thanos snapped, like, straight up.
He did. Like, he got disappeared. And the guy that played Minkus, he was on Pod Meets World, which is a podcast by Danielle Fishel, Will Friedle, and
shout out.
Yes, and Ryder Strong. He said that they talked about him coming back for season 2, and then the talks just stopped. They just decided to go a different direction.
Like, how does that even happen? You just right off.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, because he was so instrumental. I could understand if he was only in 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But he was in the whole entire season of season 1. Minkus was there.
Yeah, it was Minkus time, baby.
I mean, Minkus is one of my favorites, and I'm glad they brought him back for Girl Meets World, but that's a whole other episode that we're going to talk about that one.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, but I'm glad they brought him back, but like they did in season 5 for graduation, they gave him his flowers. It was like, everybody was wondering where he was. They finally came back, because when they showed him, the crowd reacted.
Yeah.
It showed how much Minkus was loved by the fans of the Boy Meets World craze.
Just goes to show how much love and like how much that first season was like really received. Yeah, in my opinion, their best season was the first one.
I can agree with that, but also I think season 2 was very good too, because it was kind of like a coming of age season, because you had 2 grades in one season. So you had 7th and 8th grade all at once. But season 2 for me is one of my faves.
Season 2 is great, but I mean, you get the introduction to Topanga.
Yes.
The rawness of like all the different friends coming through.
Or in the words of her, you may now call me Pengal.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and go to our next question of the evening. Yes, Minkus was cool, Tanner. I totally agree. Minkus should have stayed.
Minkus should have stayed.
Was Jack needed? Okay, now this one's a little tough. I feel like he was needed for Eric to have that friend, because we had James in the first couple of seasons, of season 1 and 2, as Eric's friend. Then he left because he went to Step by Step. Excuse me. He went to Step by Step as a new cast member. But they needed him for Eric, so Eric had someone to bounce off of, because I feel like Eric by himself, he was great, but you need somebody with Eric to kind of mellow that character out.
And they were really hanging him out to dry for a long period of time.
Yes.
With his character.
Absolutely they were.
I definitely feel like they needed Jack, not only just for like Eric, but for Shawn, so you can get like some real backstory on what was going on, because he fed into Shawn's character so much. And I think that he gave the characters more of the background story that we always wanted from Shawn. You get the telling of his father, the telling of his real family, and that led to a lot of other seasons of him just like really breaking down because of his dad. And then, explaining on camera what it's like to have a dad that's not really around. Like he had that talk with Jack, like, hey, Jack, he's not actually going to be sticking around. And then that's whenever, their dad gets sick. There's a lot of concepts in there that Jack brought that I feel like it's really overlooked.
Yeah. And, to a point, I think he was needed also for Shawn, because, again, like you said, Shawn didn't have anybody.
Yeah.
He really didn't. And I'm not even going to look at that comment. We're not even going to start that. Get that off the screen, producer. Thank you, producer. Do your job right. Jeez. But, the thing with Shawn didn't really, like you said, Shawn didn't really have any family. You had the mom. She's in there a few episodes. Yeah, the uncle in season 2.
Well,
I thought was hilarious.
He's always coming up with the story. Yeah, my Uncle Biff. Yeah, I got it from the hardware store. Hey, my Uncle Jack. Yeah, he runs the butcher. Hey, my Uncle Cliff. Yeah, he's a mechanic. Always a running bit with which uncle or aunt he's going to be pulling out of his back pocket for which story is going down.
Yeah, I loved the episode where they went to the trailer park to record the happy birthday chat. And the uncle just looks at Cory, because Cory's like, they're not talking to me. He goes, maybe the problem lies with you, outsider. I'm just like, okay. And what I also liked about the trailer park, you brought in 2 characters that, we haven't really discussed, that we both know. One of them is one of my all-time favorites. You had Joey the Rat, and you had Frankie. The 2 bullies that were in there all the time. And it was really good for the Thanksgiving episode where Frankie invited Cory and Shawn to eat with them. And it really showed with Frankie over the seasons, it showed everyone that Frankie had a heart.
Yep.
He may have been a bully, but he had a heart for people. And he's one of my all-time favorite characters of that show. Frankie. I love Frankie.
Went on to do awesome things too, man. I remember him when he was in the Butterfly Effect. He did a bunch of other stuff and then ended up losing all that weight. Yeah, he's like super buff.
Yeah, he's doing great for himself. Absolutely great.
And I think Joey, he's in a band. I think he ended up leaving the show to be in his band, something like that.
Yeah, and before we get to the next question, it is time for our ad with the Green Hemp Company. Green Hemp Company in the foothills of the Tennessee. Go see them Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday. Ask for Hot Donna. She will take care of you for all your green hemp needs.
And that's Hot Donna.
We're going to go ahead and get into the next question now. Was the Cory and Topanga story rushed too quick to start season 3?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, they didn't know how long the show was going to last.
Yes.
And they were building it up. And then once they realized the fan base that they really had, that's when you seen them start to slow down, and they have so many breakups and so many things come up, this, that, and then you eventually get to, the big thing that happened in season 5.
Yeah. And we're going to discuss
we'll
that here in a little bit, yes. But my thing is that they made it sound like Cory was into her this whole time.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. Well, we saw bits and pieces in season 2, but nothing to really.
It's like that boy.
Like, oh, they like each other. What?
It's a boyhood crush thing where it's like, yeah, they like each other, but it's really not to that extent. Like, you have a crush on a girl, but you don't really give her, much time because they're so young.
Yes. And it was crazy. I didn't understand it. My whole thing with that is, you talk about it. The issue was you had Shawn come in and be like, oh, I'm going to ask her out. We're going to do that. And it's going to, we're going to get them together. Again, we had no idea Cory had feelings for her this whole time.
Yeah. You could kind of sense that it was going somewhere, but nothing ever was like really related where Cory's like, yeah, I like Topanga.
Yeah, that to me, I was just like, what? This is new. But let's go ahead and get into the next question of the evening. What made Cory and Shawn's friendship so relatable?
Their charisma together. I mean, they started off, I think, not liking each other, but you could tell that they were like genuine friends, like outside of work, outside of the show.
Yeah. They
just had like a chemistry that was like undeniable for like best friends. You see it all the time when you see like two dudes just hanging out,
Yeah.
They have a bouncing like chemistry, not to make it sound weird, but like there's something there. And they just had that spark about them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I like because, again, I'm going to say it again, it's so relatable.
Yep.
You have issues with friends. You take care of it. You squash it. You squash all that crap. And I like how they continue that friendship because here's the thing. We talked about this today, James. Now, you remember that Ryder Strong wasn't even part of the main cast at first.
No.
He was just supposed to be a guest star. He was going to have a recircle of friends just show up every episode, but they liked Ryder, so they wrote him into the show. That's why in season 1, it's kind of like they don't really discuss him very much.
Yeah.
But when season 2 hit, it was all about Cory, Shawn, and Topanga.
Well,
that's what they drove.
It kept giving them other kids' lines and other kids' like focuses for like what the episode was going to be, and they just liked him, and he could run with it. Like there's some weird like mix-ups with like lines about Shawn's having a sister and whatnot.
Yeah,
but it definitely out. I mean, that's one of the things they seen what they had, and they just let it like blossom on screen.
And also with that too, about Shawn, there was also a lot of guest stars that played Cory's friend in season 1. You had a kid from Sandlot.
Yeah.
Like they did not pick just regular kids. They picked kids that had a name already.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, they weren't just brand new off the bus in Hollywood. They were legit known for movies and TV shows they were in. So, I mean, having Ryder Strong stay on was a great move because he had some incredible moments in that show, especially with the dad and Mr. Turner in the hospital. I mean, those episodes were just
those episodes help you learn that like family is more than what you than
yes,
just blood. It's what you make it.
yeah, exactly like with you and me. We're brothers. We know that. I mean, we're not related, but that doesn't stop us from saying we're brothers. That's the thing. It's family doesn't have to be blood.
Oh yeah,
and that's what Shawn and Cory showed everyone. Family does not have to be blood. And
Cory's family, like taking Shawn in and really, I mean, like having like the best like parent figures that you could have. I mean, if you grew up in like a broken home, you had to dream of having a family like that, and you relate to Shawn, so much. Be like, man, I wish someone would take me in like that. I wish I had that type of love, Yeah. And that's another thing that just made it so relatable.
Yes. And, we talk about guest stars, and I want to get into this before we get into one of the biggest questions of the night. There was a certain, guest star in the later years that we both are fans of. We've actually talked about this guy a little bit, and that is Shawn Weiss, who played Goldberg. He was in this show right at the hit of the Mighty Ducks craze. So like I said, they always went for well-known people that really brought it in to what it made Boy Meets World to be. You had a bunch of soap opera stars that showed up. And we're going to talk about one of them with one of the biggest questions of the night. But first, let's go ahead and get to the next one. Let's see what the next question is from our producer.
Let's go.
Was Chick Like Me groundbreaking?
For its time, yes.
Yes. Because you didn't see that a lot.
No.
And I like how they did it. They did it of your men are just too quick to not hear the girl say no.
Yeah.
And I love the premise of it and how they went with it, which is funny that they kept recording episodes after that. You could tell Ryder Strong had his eyebrows plucked for half the season.
I bet all the girlies that were like going crazy up for him was just so excited about that.
And I remember like he was starting to get into the date, and he's just like, "That's real nice, Gary." And he's like, "I need to get some food." This is getting a little rough. Then Cory comes in, looking like what he just looked like in that picture. I am Cora. Oh Lord!
He wore real like women's undergarments.
Yes, and that was not written in the script. No. When he went to Danielle Fishel, he goes, "My hosiery is bunching," which is awesome that he came up with that on his own, because that was hilarious.
I really wonder how many moments like that. I guess Eric, like stuff was just popping off left and right.
I mean, it's crazy how they were just ad-lib almost everything. Like with we brought up Eric when he was the outtakes they did when he was in the couch and he was trying to sneak attack Topanga, and they had to try and do it scene by scene, do it line by line, because him and Ryder Strong could not work together.
Yeah,
they broke every single time. And the last scene, Eric's just laying there. He's just like looking at him. He goes, "You got to get off me." And they all just jump up and start screaming. The fans are going nuts. Stuff like that. So, I mean, it was a great show. I wish it was still around, or they made another one like it. They tried with Girl Meets World, but again, we'll get to that another day. But are you ready for possibly the most serious question of the night?
Let's go. I'm ready.
What was your reaction to this saga in season 5? So before we get into this, The reason we are doing this question is due to the 2 million views. You heard me right out there. 2 million views on the breakup of Cory and Topanga and the getting back together again was, in 3 days. Thank you, producer, for showing me this comment. 3 days. We got 2 million views on one video. The other video is at about, I think, maybe 300,000. But Huey, Dewey, Louie, yes, 2 million. 2 million. It is insane that that's happened. So the reason we're bringing this up, James, I had you study these episodes today because I told you this is going to be a huge part of this episode.
Yep.
So go ahead. You start us off.
So I got kind of a weird take on it. Like, I thought the whole thing was kind of cringe when I went and looked back on it. It was really cringe that Topanga would end the relationship, that he kissed the girl. They were on break, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. They were at a senior trip.
She tells him to go out with her to see like how his feelings are and everything. And then when he listens, he does what he's been told to do. She rejects him. And I feel like that was super unfair. Like, at first you're like, wow, Topanga's being real mature about this. She's going to see where it goes. But she just entrapped him.
Yep. And then
which
I
understand. Yep. Yeah, I get her point that, the fact that he would be willing to do that meant that there was some type of doubt there. And she didn't want to be in a relationship with doubt. But then you go on and it's like a little bit later and she kisses a guy and realizes that it was a kiss. It doesn't necessarily have to mean everything. Yeah. Took it. So I hated the fact that they broke up over that, and it was gut-wrenching, especially when you see Cory's reaction. And he's just like, I did what you told me to do. It was a gut punch for sure. And I think everyone can relate to that. Having someone be like, well, try with someone else or do this, and then it just blow up in your face. Because that's exactly what happened to the man. He had it blown up right in his face.
I mean, the whole thing with that, in my opinion on it, I don't know. I agree with you. Don't tell somebody, hey, go see how you feel. And they come back to you and they say they don't feel anything. And you dump them just to prove a point.
Yeah, because that's all it was.
Yeah, and then 4 or 5 episodes later, we're now being told, oh, now she kissed somebody.
Now it's okay.
Now it's okay. Like, what? And people today in the comments to the new video were saying he wasn't listening to her. He just kept saying, you kissed another guy. That would be my reaction. Like, wait, you told me that because I kissed somebody else, we couldn't be together, but you're telling me, oh, I kissed another guy, and now I know that it's okay because I didn't feel anything. What?
Crazy double standard there. Crazy double standard.
And like, look, I'm not trying to, disagree with the masses, but
I will.
If you're going to tell somebody, hey, go see how you feel, and they come back and say, I didn't feel anything, and you tell them, well, you went there, and I just can't forgive you for that. What?
Can't get behind it. Cannot get behind that.
I mean, that was my whole thing. just even as a kid, I was like, what? And a few episodes later, they're back together, and then at the end of the season, they get engaged.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. But I guess they just needed to have some type of hot topic thing that was going to boost up the proposal. I get it from like the sitcom point of view. Like, ooh, this is what happened. They're not going to see this coming. But the whole just disagreement in general, I was not a fan of it. I didn't like it. I didn't support it at all.
No, and that's my whole thing too. I was not for it. I like that they got back together because that's the way it needs to be. Because it's Cory and Topanga. That's the way it's going to be the entire series. That's the way it was in 6 and 7. In 7, they got married. And I feel like the show really took off at that time, though.
Yeah.
Season 5, it was kind of steady there for a while, but when people heard that Cory cheated on Topanga, ratings went up.
Yep.
Like, did that really happen?
Yep. I feel like they kept doing the show for years. Honestly.
Yes. I mean, and here's the thing: the show didn't get canceled. They just decided they were done.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it could have went on for maybe 2 or 3 more seasons, but they didn't want to do it.
I would have loved to see them like move in like friends, have an apartment together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what, pregnancy life is like with Topanga. There's so many other aspects that they could have went with, but
yeah, I mean, the show was great, and there's and that's the reason people still watch it, because no one today's shows are nothing like they were back then. And that's my whole thing about nostalgia. That's what this is. We're going to talk about this stuff because this is what we love to talk about. We watch this. I mean, when I was up at your place for Scarefest, what did we watch the whole time?
We were watching Buffy.
I mean, that's just the way it is. They don't make shows like Buffy, Friends, Boy Meets World. They don't make shows like that anymore.
It's made for numbers, but back then it was made to have like a spark. There had to be something there. There had to be like a real core that you just don't get with like any type of sitcom or anything these days.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. And you hit the nail right on the head. They just do it for viewership now. There's very rare things. And it's just, it is what it is with that. Oh, ATB! By the way, tell your wife we said happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And so now ATB brings up a good thing. A favorite episode.
Do you have yours? I have mine.
Yeah, go ahead. Say yours first.
Mine is the Halloween episode where it's like a Scream remake. That one's my favorite.
Was Shawn.
Yeah, that one is my all-time favorite episode. The best episode is when Cory and Topanga meet, but my favorite episode is definitely the horror show.
Yes. I mean, because that was really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got Feeny stabbed in the back with...
Where you are gonna die, that's right. Death is on the menu tonight.
Classic, in my opinion.
I can say what I want, Tanner. Okay? I can say what I want.
Get him, Tanner.
But here's my favorite, though. There's 2. I can't think of the name of this one. It's when Eric and Jack they stop a rave from happening at the student union.
Okay.
And it's this crazy guy, Luther, and that was the guy's name in the show. And so when that happened, they had Eric dressed up as a woman. Jack walks in, real upset, talking with Shawn because he thinks Eric's gone. He's like, "Oh, he was so young and stupid." Shawn goes, "He's fine." Okay, good. Well, he's not going to be fine if we don't figure out a way to get out of this. Eric walks out dressed as a woman.
Boom.
And he walked out, and they both started dressing up. And the funny thing for me is when Shawn looked at Eric, and he's like, Eric goes, "How do I look, babe?" He goes, "Yes on the dress, no on the face." No. What, too much makeup? No, too much ugly.
Classic.
That one, and of course, Chick Like Me. I thought that was very well done. I thought they did very well for the women demographic on that episode.
Well, the demographic in general for the show is all.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They always had chicks on there.
Yeah, and it was very strong too. It wasn't like teeny bop. It was, they had a very strong background, and they were very, very vocal. They didn't have very little lines. They had half the show. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. You had I think one of the very first interracial relationships on the show.
Yes.
With Shawn and what was her name?
Angela. Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't like how they ended that relationship.
That was really weird.
Yeah, I was not happy with that at all.
Everyone kind of got like a weird ending though.
Yeah. But they really got a weird ending. I mean, that was rough. I was like, you just put them back together, and now you're having her leave?
Yeah.
What was the point of doing that so late?
Yeah, what was the point? I guess to get some type of closure for them, for the fans.
I guess. I mean, but still, that was tough.
That was a little messy.
I didn't like it. I didn't like how they just ended it abruptly. They were just like, "Oh, they're still together." No, they're not.
No, not really.
No, they're not together anymore. We're just going to take Angela off, even though there's like three or four episodes left. I guess that's what they wanted to do, but there was a whole ordeal backstage about that stuff.
Yeah.
But Angela and Shawn, I loved them together. I thought they were great. I hoped when the new show came out they were together, but they weren't. But again, that's another story for another day. But, I mean, Boy Meets World will always be top of the list. I mean, am I right or am I wrong?
100%. It's always going to be the top.
And with that being said, we thank you all for tuning in tonight. The numbers are insane. I've looked them up already. I mean, you all are killing it. And we thank you all so much for watching.
Thank you.
I am Eldridge, and he is
Blackburn.
And this has been the Nostalgia Show. And also, thank you for being a part of the nostalgic experience. We'll see you next time.
The following announcement has been paid for by Teal 5 Wrestling.
Hello, my fellow nostalgics. It is my honor and privilege to accept the ownership of being the host of the Eldridge Blackburn Nostalgia Show. And we are so excited and ready for this great accomplishment for us here in America and around the world. Nostalgia is going to be running wild, and we can't wait for you to be a part of the Nostalgia experience. Get ready. Eldridge Blackburn Nostalgia Show is coming, brothers.